Hi, my name is LP. I am sitting here with Red Eye, the paper, and you can check out the paper and check out me, LP, like the initials, and my record's called Forever for Now, and it's great to be here. Thanks, Pace.
Great having you.
All right.
First of all, Forever for Now, one of my favorite albums of the year.
No way, really?
It is
oh, that's
so
awesome.
good. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think in my review I said something that was just like one potential hit after another.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you.
And I mean that in a good way. I feel like these days when someone acknowledges something as like a possible hit song or when
Right.
something gets massive
Yeah.
radio airplay, do you feel like it almost sometimes has a negative connotation?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of interviews, and it was funny. It was a turning point for me because like the person was like, "So, you made a pop record," and I could feel the bile, like right. I was like, "Ugh." And then I was like, and then after like 2 or 3 of those, I was just like, "Yeah, I made a pop record. What are you gonna do about it?"
Did they say it like a
No,
grandma
they
that way?
So, yeah, no, I don't. I just was very like kind of. It just felt a little accusatory to me. Maybe I was paranoid.
Like pop is an insulting word at this
Right,
point.
and I was thinking to myself like I'm a pop writer, you know what I mean, and I love pop songs. I think I mean, there's no way to get around the quirk that is myself, So, it's like quirkier, I guess, but it's also straight ahead pop. I mean, I just like songs that like hit you immediately and like lift you up. I mean, I just strive for that,
So you're back in Chicago now. You had a show on Saturday here that was canceled, I think, rained out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you haven't been here since Saturday though, have you?
I did a small little. I did JBTV last night, yesterday, and a couple people showed up. It's a small audience showed up. But Chicago. I also was supposed to be here when I was on this tour with Codaline, and I forget that we both had to drop out of the show because they had to go somewhere else, and it just didn't work out. And then Lollapalooza in 2012.
That was the evacuation year.
That was
when
the
you were
evacuation one.
So did you even play?
I did. I was the first band. I was supposed to be the second to last band on the BMI station. And, I was the first band to play after the evacuation, and it was, it was not as, big as it was before the evacuation.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. But it was good.
At what point do we start to wonder if the weather in Chicago is influenced by your
Right.
presence here?
Chicago, is pissed to be.
I mean, it was warm and nice this morning. Now we're outside.
I know.
It's
What's up?
cold and windy and kind of terrible.
Yeah. I don't
Hopefully
know
you're
how
not
to
taking
answer.
that personally.
No, not at all. I love Chicago, man. It's like, it's a cleaner version of, New York.
Yes. Well, you're obviously doing so well for yourself now, but I read that when you were growing up, your family was encouraging you to, do law, medicine, something like that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that? In what ways were they kind of pushing you in that direction?
Oh,
And
not just like entertainment. You can't make money at it. You can't do it, and I don't, I mean, I think, money is something that's very important, obviously, but, if you don't, sometimes if you don't do, something that you're relatively interested in, you start feeling like a slave after a while, it's like, what is it for? And I just...
Did you ever think about going in one of those directions or
Yeah,
have
but
the...
my mom passed away when I was young, and I just was like, life is short, and I just feel like there's something about passion that excites me, and being passionate about what you do, and I've seen and met people that are, and I liked how they were. I mean, I didn't think my father was that happy, but I was like, you're a lawyer, you're not happy. Did
you have those kind of quintessential kid-parent argument, like,
no,
it's my life, I'll do what I want?
No, I'm more of those, like, it just, I just don't do it. You know what I mean?
All right, Dad, sure.
I'm like, yeah, whatever you say, man, later.
Yeah,
so it's like,
on my way to law school
don't
right
really-
now,
yeah.
okay.
It's like, he was the first of many men I haven't listened to. Just kidding, man.
Well, you're hardly the first person in the industry to jump from label to label when certain things didn't, pan out or go the way they want to. Did you have a moment, even though you've had so much success writing for other people too, was there ever a moment with all these kind of label things falling through that you felt like discouraged or kind of tired of that
course.
nonsense?
Yeah, I mean, you feel it. I've felt it within this week, you know what I mean? Like just the different things, everybody is striving. And it's not even like the outer world, it's just my internal dialogue of like, what I want to be better at, you know. And being a songwriter, being an artist, it's hard. You know, you want to keep yourself constantly moving and trying to be better. I mean, I do. I don't know.
I mean, can you think of a moment in that time that was, and I don't want to say the lowest, but just like where you were the most kind of bummed about
yeah,
that
I mean,
stuff?
after my second major label deal didn't work out, it was kind of like, you know, like, what do you do? You know, but it was kind of like, though, being on those labels led me to writing this volume of songs that I never had, and to getting cuts with artists I never dreamed of. And so it actually, you know, it's like, it brought me to something else. And then I was just like, oh, this is nice, I'll do this. You know, I mean, I don't think I said it to myself, but I was just like, okay, this is what I'm doing now. And then I didn't, you know, I have to be honest with you, and I was surprised at this myself, I didn't miss it performing as much as I would have thought. Like, when I look back, as soon as I signed to a major label, I did not perform again. It was like 2006. I had been touring for like 3.5 years, and I did not tour at all ever again until Into the Wild hit. And you know, so that was like 5 or 6 years, and I don't know, I wasn't I was satisfied in what I was doing. I was still, like, you know, feeling good about stuff, but and then I started playing at Bordeaux and Sayers. That's where I started, like, and, you know, I'm talking like 1 song a week or 2 songs a week at this thing, and I was, you know, we were drinking and having a good time, you know, and it was just like part of like a, you know, musician night out, to be honest. And then things just started to, and I was relaxed, and I guess stuff comes out. People always say that, you know. I think, like, I was always thinking to myself when I would read about people that'd be like, you know, as soon as I let go, it happened. And then I just, like, but you can't, if you think about, like, okay, letting go.
Right. Then you're actually not.
Yeah, exactly. So I really, you know, I guess, you know, it was kind of like the bait and switch, you know. It's like, look over here. Look over here.
I love your impressions of people. The journalist before and this one, it's like old-time newspaper speak. As soon as you let go, okay? That's when it's gonna go.
Go ahead, let go. Yeah.
Well, we talked about kind of the way that pop music is perceived. I'm tempted to want to talk about the definition of a pop star, which whatever it is, isn't...
Is it my crazy
Probably not you. Once you put ukulele in there, the whole definition falls apart.
It ruins it for some people, but you know, I don't care.
I mean, are you...
It's like, sorry.
You must at least be aware of the fact that musically you're falling in line. I mean, something else I wrote in my review is that I think a lot of quote-unquote bigger names as of now will hear a lot of the songs on the album and be like, man, I wish that was my song.
That's nice. I don't know.
But you're a part of this world now with people who aren't so musically inclined, aren't bringing as much personality to the music. Mm-hmm. Is it weird that whatever that definition of pop star is, it's like, and then it's me over here doing my thing, being awesome?
I don't feel that way, to be honest. I feel like there's so much good stuff out there, you know, and that has like a pop element to it. You know, I don't even know, like, I think, you know, it's such a ridiculous word sometimes still, because people do use it to describe stuff that isn't. But yeah, I think it's amazing, all the music that's out there right now, and I'm just happy to be a part of it, you know. But I don't see like my stuff that's so like crazy stuff that I've heard.
That really blew your mind.
I love like London Grammar, you know. I love Licky Lee's new record. Mm-hmm. You know, like that to me, it actually made me feel better about the pop thing when I saw Licky Lee's record being described as a pop record. Because to me, I don't know, I think she's like really interesting. I love Tovolo. She's amazing, Swedish woman, and she's killing it right now. It's just like some really interesting and interesting women that are doing like pop, but like quirkier and interesting, you know. Banks is really cool.
Yeah.
I was digging her stuff a lot. It's like so moody and so, you know. I don't know, you know.
I mean, do you feel with those differences though, at least with what you're bringing to the table in a show, on the songs, do you ever get the sense, you know, whether it's new fans or fans seeing you for the first time at a festival, at a smaller show, that they're almost surprised, like, oh my God, ukulele? Whistling? What is this?
Yeah, the whistling thing is very funny because like I could see people looking behind me
Like where's the whistler?
Yeah, like here he is. He's a little man in my just blazer.
That would be awesome
Yeah.
if you actually had that.
Yeah. No, people are kind of shocked by the whistle. I feel like I get almost as much stuff said about my whistling as my voice, and I don't know. I think since I put it on, Into the Wild was the first thing I put it on, and it just seemed to like. We liked it, you know, and I'd been whistling, you know, my whole life, and I just was like, it just was my melody thing. So sometimes my first like get melody, you know, and it's just like, and what I like about it is that sometimes when I'm whistling and I'm playing chords or whatever, and it comes from some like part of my brain that I'm not paying attention, and some really interesting stuff comes out. Like the Into the Wild whistle, I was zoned out playing the
So you
chords.
almost don't realize that you're doing it.
Yeah, and it's kind of like, you know, you don't think about it at all, and it's just something that's coming out of like your subconscious in a way, you know. Forever for Now was the same thing. I was like, I was in Big Sur. I was on some drugs, and zoning out, staring at the water on a cliff, and just like whistling. This thing came, and I was just like, wow, what is that? You know, it's like, you know, it's just another instrument that kind of runs parallel to like my thought.
It actually occurs to me now that if you had a little man who was whistling in your pocket all the time, that would get annoying pretty fast.
Yeah, that guy, resetting him out. Yeah.
I thought it was cool at first.
It's like,
Yeah, right off.
later.
I mean, is there any sense of, I feel like as someone who has had, there's some Andrew Bird stuff that I like, there's some Andrew Bird
Yeah.
stuff I don't like as much.
I didn't really, you know, I honestly didn't know much about Andrew Bird until people started saying about how he whistles all the time, and then I checked him out and I loved him. And I also, I had heard him already and I didn't know it, but I was jealous of his turn in the Muppet movie.
Oh, yeah.
Because I remember like thinking like, wow, that was some really great whistling. And then I was like, I wish I had gotten called for that.
Hey, maybe you'll be in the next one.
Yeah, right. A whistling choir.
Well,
Yeah.
do you feel like there's, you know, when I interviewed him and talked to him about that, he sort of shrugged off the notion of like how much whistling is too much whistling, because it's like,
Yeah.
I'll do it when it feels right, and I'm not
Yeah.
really worried about what people think
Yeah,
is too
I
much.
agree with him. I think like, you know, to me, the way I've been like doing it lately, it's just like it's just another instrument. I don't think it's almost like I think maybe the ukulele is more like gimmicky than whistling almost. You know what I mean? And I'm not talking about the whistling where it's like, you know, like that kind of where it's just like it's like a cute little. But I'm talking about like, you know, like Andrew Bird's whistling or whatever, like stuff that's like, you know, you're really featuring it like as a you know, more of a. I mean, I guess the other whistling is also featured like that, but it's just like a different. It's a different kind of thing. I think. I don't know.
Have you ever had someone want to buy a song or give it to someone and you said no because you didn't like who it was going to be assigned to?
You know, I have to admit, like, there's not, you know, I don't get like aggro about like I don't like that person. You know what I mean? Like if they like the song, and because sometimes you save a song and it goes nowhere. I mean, you know, I'm pretty much like get them out there. Whoever's gonna do it, you know. I mean, if there was a competition and there's just like one person I thought like was gonna do it better, you know. It depends. Like, I mean, there's been once or twice that I thought that a person couldn't handle a song. Like they just were not. Like, I get it back, and it was just like butchering the song. I thought, you know, it's only been like once or twice, but I'm just like, that person's not really ready to sing this song, you know, like vocally. So I was just like, I'd just as soon not have it sung.
It seems like you do some outdoorsy stuff sometimes. Have you seen the movie Into the Wild? What do you think of that type
I
of
love
expedition?
it. I love it. You know, when I was writing the song, the words Into the Wild came out, and I kind of like paused and was like, you know, hey, real loud, you know, like, but I love that movie. I love the book. I mean, it's great. It's an amazing tale, you know, and the song.
Do you see that as like romantic, like a romantic journey, or kind of
I think,
crazy one?
Well, I think it's both. You know, I think you know, the guy was obviously just, you know, I had to hand it to him. You know, he really like believed in something, he was very passionate about it, and went after it. And it was, you know, I think it was just shows you like, you know, that it's the wild. You know what I mean? Like, can you imagine like that? It just makes life seem so much more like amazing that we were like, we're sitting in the top of a building with like a camera facing us, and like people had to like die all the time because they ate the wrong berry. You know what I mean? It's like we lifted ourselves up from like eating the wrong berries and like then eating the right berries, and then boom, 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 and then
that was the turning point of civilization.
Eat the right berries, for God's sakes, man. Yeah. So yeah, it's just like it made it all very like palpable, the life and death thing. Audience showed up, but yeah, no, Chicago. I also was supposed to be here when I was on this tour with Codaline, and I forget that we both had to drop out of the show because they had to go somewhere else, and it just didn't work out. And then Lollapalooza in 2012.
That was the evacuation year.
That was the evacuation one.
So did you even play?
I did. I was the first band. I was supposed to be the second last band on the BMI stage, and then, I was the first band to play after the evacuation, and it was, it was not as, big as it was before the evacuation.
Yeah.
Let's just say that.
Sometimes has a negative connotation.
Yeah, I mean, I've done a couple of interviews, and it was funny. It was a turning point for me because like the person was like, "So, you made a pop record," and I could feel the bile like right. I was like, "Ugh." And then I was like, and then after like 2 or 3 of those, I was just like, "Yeah, I made a pop record." What are you gonna do about it?
Did they say it like a grandma that way?
So. Yeah, no, I just was very like it just felt a little accusatory to me. Maybe I was paranoid.
Like pop is an insulting word at this
right,
point.
and I was thinking to myself like I'm a pop writer, you know what I mean, and I love pop songs. I think I mean there's no way to get around the quirk that is myself, so it's like quirkier, I guess, but it's also straight ahead pop. I mean I just like songs that like hit you immediately and like lift you up. I mean, I try to strive for that,
So you're back in Chicago now. You had a show on Saturday here that was canceled, I think, rained out. Is that right?
Yeah.
Have you haven't been here since Saturday though, have you?
I did a small little. I did JBTV last night, yesterday, and a couple people showed up. It's a small. Hi, my name is LP. I am sitting here with Red Eye, the paper, and you can check out the paper and check out me, LP, like the initials, and my record's called Forever for Now, and it's great to be here. Thanks, Pace.
Great having you.
All right.
First of all, Forever for Now, one of my favorite albums of the year.
No way, really?
It is
that's
so
awesome.
good.
Thank you.
I think in my review I said something that was just like one potential hit after another.
Oh, that's very cool. Thank you.
And I mean that in a good way. I feel like these days when someone acknowledges something as like a possible hit song, or when something gets massive radio airplay, do you feel like it almost...
It was good.
At what point do we start to wonder if the weather in Chicago is influenced by your presence here?
Chicago, is pissed at me.
I mean, it was warm and nice this morning. Now we're outside.
I know. What's
It's
up?
cold and windy and kind of terrible.
Yeah.
Hopefully you're not taking that personally.
No, not at all. I love Chicago, man. It's like, it's a cleaner version of, New York.
Yes. Well, you're obviously doing so well for yourself now, but I read that when you were growing up, your family was encouraging you to, do law, medicine, something like that.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit more about that, and what ways were they kind of pushing you in that direction?
Oh, just